What's happening?
I am all out of sorts today, man. Like,
how fitting.
I know we're doing an episode on ADHD, and quite literally all day I have been unable to get mine in check. Like, I feel like each day that goes on, as we're getting closer and closer to the February 4th event, the worse it gets. Like, I can't, it's everywhere. And now I remembered what I was going to do before we went live. I needed to reply to a message.
Well, do you need to do it right now?
No, it's just going to have to wait.
Okay, I'll remind you later if I remember, because I won't. If you guys don't know, Ethan and I both have ADHD.
By the way, hi IQ, hi Tiffany, Cooper, and Allison. What's going on?
Allison, you're kind of the inspiration for today's topic because we started to talk about, I'm pretty sure, were we talking about ADHD with Allison? I think we were. And then you said this would be a great topic. I think it was Allison. If it wasn't, I'm sorry to that person. Allison, just take the credit and run with it. It's okay.
Do you realize I have like the worst memory? I'm the worst person to ask that question to.
No, yeah. That's completely on brand today because same. But yeah, per usual, we're going to talk about sex, love, and relationships and give our own personal little stories and stuff. And if you want to call in and talk about it, feel free to do so. The number is 951-364-2430. It's on the screen. But yeah, specifically today, we're going to talk about ADHD because last week we got on the topic and where I realized I had a lot to say. Ethan always has a lot to say about ADHD.
Yes. And to Cooper's comment, yes, I know I can be quite animated at times. And I'm pretty giddy right now.
You're giddy?
I'm giddy.
Like, good. That's
I am.
To be.
So the other things we should have figured out before we went live was how does, aside from the intimacy and day-to-day life and sex, what other roles does ADHD play in your everyday relationship? Now, for me, oh my God, it was literally everything. I was because I was so forgetful, and it's only gotten worse because of the epilepsy. So it's like dude, it's the worst combination. I can't remember shit, and it sucks.
I didn't realize epilepsy did that. I mean, I don't live with it. I don't have anyone, I guess, until you in my life that I know of that has to deal with that. So I just assume like, oh, you have seizures sometimes. We'll have to do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I haven't had them in 2 years, but it has
congratulations
definitely affected my long-term memory and actually both memories. Like, I have little to no memories between 2013-ish to 2000 end of 18.
Wow.
Like, just nothing. I could probably remember 3, maybe 4 things if I'm lucky. Like, I can't tell you how many times my friend will be telling me a story. He's like, "You remember this, right?" And I'm just like,
nope.
I don't remember any of it.
Like, I can relate to that just from like how ADHD affects my brain, but I feel like in your case, it's just much more severe, and I'm sorry.
Well,
BestName, I'm in cosplay as Ethan today.
I remember my wedding day, but I barely remember my wedding day. That's how bad it is.
Oh, my heart. Do you have it on film? I mean, that's different.
No, actually, we don't. Wait, I don't know. I mean, we're not together anymore, so it doesn't matter. But no, I do not have it.
Matters. Okay. Yeah. Well, interesting. Well, so it's as far as how ADHD affects my everyday life, I'm still learning because I was only diagnosed a couple years ago. I mean, I always kind of knew I was like a hyper kid, and my mom would be like, yeah, and I'm still a hyper kid, I guess. But I never realized how much it affected everything in my life. I was just like, oh, I'm hyper and I can't focus. And I didn't get officially diagnosed until a couple of years ago. I was on medication for a while and I didn't like it. I also didn't take a whole bunch of different kinds to see if anything worked for me. During the times I was on medication, I did notice a difference, and I was able to pick up a lot of really good habits during that, and I try to implement them still. It's hard, but for me, it was more important to just keep my anxiety and depression in check, which can be super related. But like being a hyperactive person who can't focus all the time hasn't really been something that's been detrimental to my life. I mean, other than in school, but when it comes to relationships, it's mostly just annoying to people, I would say. I mean, you'd have to ask Thomas and my past partners, but I have a bad habit of forgetting things. I I I don't like admitting this because it's a huge insecurity of mine, and it's I need to take responsibility, but I'm a terrible listener. I really, really try, but I get too excited. I have too much to say. I'm thinking of 500 million different things while you're telling me a story, and I want to relate so badly. And just like my form of active listening is being like, yeah, want to hear how I can relate. And I feel like I come off as such a narcissist, and I don't mean to. I'm just excited, and my brain went into 5 million different directions, and I can't keep my mouth shut. So I interrupt. I forget what people say. I have them repeat themselves a million times. So just with like, not necessarily in sex, we'll get into that, but when just interacting with people, it can be very frustrating, especially with a partner who has to deal with me on a daily basis. I know you're just like, do you feel so seen right now?
Yes, dude. And I'm trying, like, while you're talking about interrupting people, I'm trying not to interrupt you
I'm
because,
really proud of you. I could tell you wanted to.
dude, that's the thing though. It's like you just get this excitement and you're like, it has to come out right now. And that's how it is with so many things. Like when I think of a goofy thing to do, I have to do it right then and there, because if I don't do it, I'm not going to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
and I especially like it's so hard for me to focus on conversations at times. And
Mhm.
uh, at times my ex has told me she's watched my videos and she can see when the switch flips and I'm like all of a sudden focusing on other things and no longer paying attention. She's like, you got to get better at covering that up. I'm like, I don't think anyone else could see it but you.
I notice only because it's something I do too.
It sucks.
Yeah. I don't know. And I don't want people to think that I think what I have to say is more important. I just don't want to forget to say it. And I don't know. I have terrible self-control, I guess. I'm not at all trying to be like, oh, don't blame me. I just have ADHD. It's like not at all cop out. I know I'm annoying, and I'm working on it. So, but this is just my experience and how I feel what's going on with me.
I have, do you know like how hard it is to have to contain my excitement with certain people? Sometimes I'm just like, "Ooh," and I'm just like, "Stop, I think you're weird." Um,
They're gonna think you're freaking weird. And yeah, people have told me to my face, like, you're really annoying. And I'm like, I know.
I've gotten some interesting messages along those lines. Like, "Do you know you're just, like, really out there sometimes?" I'm like,
No.
"Yeah, I know. You don't have to reply me. I'm
Yeah.
fully aware of this."
I can't freaking control it. People are like, how are you on all the time? Is it fake? No, I'm genuinely like, I'm like this vibrating ball of energy and it doesn't stop. And then I crash. But so the other annoying thing about being in a relationship with me is I get these random, like, very like, I want to wrestle you now. Like, I don't know. It's also like kind of my way of being affectionate. So I'm just like, we'll just like Thomas will not be at all. He'll be tired, and I'm just like, nah, like trying to like tickle him, and he's like, please stop. And I'm like, I can't. I need to go freaking run a mile or something.
Dude, I feel so much more normal right now because, oh my god, it's like we have to find a way to contain our annoyingness because we know it's annoying.
It
But
feels like more hard. Someone, Cooper Gates asked, does that get tiring? Like sometimes I crash for sure,
oh
but
yeah,
sometimes masking it takes a lot of my energy. I don't know, like, uh,
mental energy. Like
yeah.
it can be depressing to have
Mhm.
to not be yourself.
Yeah, like I'll feel really I don't know, when I go through a whole day when I'm like being professional, and I feel very lucky that I'm back. I loved my last job where I had a desk job, but like I just wanted to like all the time, if that makes sense. And now I'm back on my feet. I work with kids, so like chasing around 15 kids has been very good for my energy.
By the way, if you have ADHD or you want to talk about how it impacts you or your relationships, give us a call, 951-364-2430. An easy way to remember that is 951 engage-0.
Why does that sound naughty? Engage. Oh.
Well, like engaging in conversation. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
No, I think it sounds I thought it was like on purpose. I don't know. It sounds engorge. Oh, for orgasm. It sounds naughty. Okay. I know it wasn't intended, but
What I was going to say.
fuck. I mean, rats. For
Um,
anyone asking about the uniform, I saw this shirt and was like, oh, I want to dress up as Ethan so bad.
and she made me change beforehand. So I had my other streaming shirt on, and she's like, "You're not matching." And I was like, "Do you want me to change?" And she said yes. So I went and changed.
The one time that you weren't wearing a tie-dye shirt that I'm aware of, that I can remember at this moment, I wore a tie-dye shirt. And I'm going to flip the hat around because we're going to get into sex in a little bit. And this is my favorite shirt that I got from my friend Bobby, and it says hentai on it.
Oh, like hentai pornography?
Anime pornography. I don't get to wear this hat in public very often, but I figured it was appropriate for the stream. So thank you for letting me talk about my outfit for a minute. Back to the topic. We talked about how annoying we are in relationships. What else?
It's so like that was one of the things that when I had like really bad depression and like the medication and seizures, it took away my excitement. So there was no like anymore like, dude, like, and that's how you can always tell how excited I am is my voice like starts going up octaves, like, dude, 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 dude. Like it just keeps getting higher the more excited I am. But that went away and it's really, really sucked. And I remember like when I started getting excited again, like when I had my first meal post like depression, seizures, and all that shit. Oh my God, it was like the best thing ever.
Do you remember what it was?
Oh yeah, it was Korean barbecue, and it was just I was like, because my stomach like started feeling more normal again, like my body was normalizing, and I had ballooned up to 249 pounds, and I had always had a fast metabolism, but all the medication clearly slowed it down. Well, once like I'm getting off everything, this one day I felt like this black hole in my stomach and I couldn't stop eating. It was just endless and I'm dropping pounds like after pounds and I'm like I can't stop stuffing my face. It's like my body turned on again and it was just but this also impacted me in every aspect of my life. Like all of a sudden I woke up one day and I felt like I had the sex drive of a 15-year-old boy. I was watching porn endlessly, and it was when we were going through our breakup. So
Oh,
yes, so I'm like this horny kid, like not able to go anywhere because at that point it would have felt like cheating still.
right.
So for like 3 months period, for like 3 months, it was just whoo, and then it like dropped and then it normalized. But it was also with my emotions too. Like my excitement normalized, but I had to get used to my emotions again. Like 1 minute I would be super high, next minute I'd be low. Like I could get set off more easily. So I had to learn how to control everything all over again. But since then, my ADHD has been just rampant and it has impacted, relationships, not just like on a basic conversational level, but sexually as well.
Mhm.
However, we have a caller. Should we get to that caller?
I'm so excited. Yes.
I don't have to call screen this
Oh,
one.
right. Okay. Yeah. We talked about this. Okay. So I'm going to talk for a minute.
Oh, no, 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 I don't have to call screen this one. It's Allison.
Oh, I thought you said you don't have a screener and you were reminding people. I'm so excited. Hi, Allison.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Oh shoot, there's an echo. I can hear myself.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Do you want to try calling back?
Let's see. Testing. Okay, no, it's good now.
Wonderful.
So I am not on medication today. I slept in till like the afternoon. So I'm in full ADHD mode. Yay!
Perfect timing. I'm sorry. I hope you're feeling okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling okay. I'm just like, I'm kind of tired because when I'm on Vyvanse, I'm all energized and feel like I can run a freaking marathon and stuff. And so when I don't take it, it's like I'm tired and my mind's racing all over the place, and I'm way more prone to interrupt people and try to finish their sentences and be like, oh, hey, yeah, I can relate to this and this is how. So
I feel that like a million times.
By the way, Cooper,
yeah,
I love your question. I'll get to it in one moment.
Sorry, Allison, go ahead.
So that's okay. Let's interrupt each other. Whee! So I guess relationships wise, the last one I was in, it like having ADHD and being on medication, it influenced my relationships in good ways and bad ways. Good ways, obviously, we talked about that last week. But bad ways is kind of like I'll wake up in the morning, I'll take the Vyvanse, I'll be like, have this endless amount of energy, and I'll just be like starting to get really energetic and talking fast and stuff. And my friend would be like, whoa, you're making me nervous, sit down. And I'm just like, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, and then when he'd come over to cook, and I would be like trying to help by like telling him where all the stuff he needs is, like utensils and dishes and shit. And 9 times out of 10, my kitchen is not completely clean, so he'll grab like a pot or something, and I'll be like, oh, hey, that's dirty, that needs to be washed, or I have a different thing or whatever. And then he got mad at me and would be like, stop trying to control the situation, stop like trying to helicopter supervise or whatever the hell it was. And I would get all offended and be like, dude, I'm just trying to help. And then he'd get mad and it would escalate into a freaking argument.
Oh.
And it was so annoying. And I'm like, I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I wonder if, because you mentioned on things being messy, am I just a slob, or is it an ADHD thing? Like, I'm still learning. And I've been seeing people talk about, I'm talking about like being messy and having ADHD. Is there any kind of correlation? I'm hoping, or am I just like am I just a slob?
Well, okay. There's a distinction between being messy and being dirty, or are you both, or one or the other? Like, I am messy, but I'm not dirty.
I'm like organized messy.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I want my shit in the weird places it is, and I don't want to move it. Okay, how about change? How are either of you with change? Because I'm horrible with it. Like, absolutely horrible. Like, to give you an example, my mother recently reminded me that when I was a kid, every day throughout each year, I would have one sandwich, and I wanted that same sandwich every day throughout the entire school year. Peanut butter and jelly. The following year, it would be turkey, and it could not be anything different. If it was something different, I was not happy. And as an adult, that happens to me. I go to specific restaurants for specific foods. Like Windy City Grill, I get this Greek chicken sandwich. At Snice Pizza, it has to be the pepperoni and extra cheese. Lou Malnati's, it has to be sausage with buttercrust deep dish. Like, I have this weird
Mhm.
neurotic mind where I have to have these things a certain way with like foods, and I don't like change.
I don't like a lot of choices. I get very overwhelmed when I have too many choices. So I like to have like pre-planned what I'm going to have ahead of time. So if I go to I don't like to go to like new places a lot of times. I've kind of just grown out of that, like in a way where I'm like, I know that's stupid, just do it anyway. But if I had it my way, like I would go like, I know I want to go to this restaurant because they have this specific thing that I like. I know I want to go to this restaurant because I know that they have this specific thing that I like. I don't want to try anything else because what if I don't like it? And like,
Yep.
I just don't want to regret my decision. So when I go to a new place and there's like a fat menu, I'm really stressed out.
Thinking about regretting your decision is like the worst thing in the world. That happens with everything. And it's like, dude, if I don't get the food I like, I will have just spent money on something I didn't like. So maybe I should take a chance, not take a chance, and make sure I get something I'm pretty confident I'm going to like. It's like,
Yeah, I'm not picky. I just don't want to like waste my money.
yeah, I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste, like, it's not just my money. I don't want to have a bad
Experience.
meal. Like,
Yeah.
I want to have good meals. I don't know. Obviously, I have good meals, but I'm just, dude, I'm a food snob, and that totally impacts my relationships because someone will be like, hey, let's get this. I'm like, I'm not eating there. Or I'm sorry. I mean, and it of course affects Bandaid because some of my friends are generous and will sometimes buy him treats, and he never gets them because they have byproducts in them. They have to be organic, no byproducts.
Very
And
particular.
it's very particular on what my little baby gets.
Allison, I want an update. How are you doing? Alice and I are BFFs. We, because you followed me from secular sexuality over to mine, and I'm super, super grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm doing good. With the whole change thing, it's like some things I'm like, yeah, change, bring it on. And then other things I'm like, no, let's not do that. But I found like if I go out to a new restaurant with my friends, if it's like a huge menu and I'm like super, super hungry and I just can't seem to make up my mind, I'll ask my friend, it's like, have you been here before? What's good? And if he hasn't, then I'll ask the server what their favorite thing is to kind of just get a feel for a good choice kind of thing. And I found that it sometimes actually works out. And so that's been good.
Yeah, it's good to try new things, but it can be stressful. Sorry.
Stop interrupting our guest.
But lately, like, what's that, Ethan?
Sorry, I was rudely interrupting while telling Hannah not to interrupt.
He was interrupting you to tell me not to interrupt you.
By interrupting you.
Yeah.
Like, I've been using Uber a lot, like Uber Eats, and so it's like I'll use something that I like as like a baseline to figure out what to order, and that's how I figured out some of my favorite foods. Like I've ordered from this one Indian place like 3 times now, and there's one dish that I get that's the same, and then I'll get like 1 or 2 other things that's different to try it out, and then that way I know for sure I've got at least one thing that I know that I like, so it's not going to be a total like crap, and I end up with a bunch of stuff I don't like.
So, quick question for you, Allison, before we move on. Has ADHD ever impacted you sexually? And sorry if that's too personal. You do not have to answer that. That's just the next topic I'll be moving on to.
Yeah, it definitely has. Like I was saying before in our previous conversations, it's definitely helped in the case of like being on the medication helped my mind shut off and actually focus on what I was feeling. So I was able to start having orgasms. And I actually found out that I can have every time I was having like multiple orgasms, and it was like I had no idea that was even possible. It's like, am I dreaming right now? Is this even real life? Like,
That's freaking awesome.
But before the medication, my mind would just be off in outer space like all the time, and like, so I was extremely, like, I was craving sex all the time, and I think it was probably because I was never able to have like orgasms. So yeah, like ADHD definitely has affected it in good ways and bad ways. So, and it's affected my appetite too. Like the medication, especially, like, it just nuked my desire to eat. So, but I got down. Like, I was losing weight to the point where people were like getting concerned.
Oh.
And here I am going, but I've never been this skinny before. So I'm like, do I want to gain? But I've been gaining, and slowly I think like my clothes are starting to fit better again.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, side effects big time.
So when it comes to like, and that's another thing that affects the relationship, because it's like, oh, I don't want to go out because none of my clothes fit me properly, or you know, I don't feel well days and stuff that affects relationships for sure. So
yeah.
But now I'm not in a relationship, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. So
yes, exactly. And you need to get in a relationship where you can still do whatever the fuck you want.
Yes.
I agree.
So thank you for calling in, Allison.
Thank you, Allison.
Oh, you're welcome. I love talking to you guys.
You too.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Bye.
All right. I have
to anytime after 9. Sorry, go ahead.
I have to let Bandaid out. He's scratching at the door.
Oh my God. My dog scratches at the door, but you can't hear her because it's just far away. And Thomas was out getting me a burrito. So I texted him, when you get back, please comfort my animal because she's losing her mind right now.
We got to get to, hang on. There's a question.
Okay.
Where did it go? I got to get back up to it. Hang on.
That's okay. In the meantime.
There you go, Vam, for a second.
In the meantime,
found it. Okay.
How about them apples? Go ahead.
In general, what mental conditions do you think should be treated with medication, and which ones should be left alone?
I shouldn't speak on that. I'm not a professional.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Good question, though.
It's so, like, some people benefit from it, some people don't. It's really going to vary person to person.
Yeah.
It's all I can say is I do know there are a lot of other things tied to ADHD, like depression, anxiety, substance abuse, like I believe, do not quote me on this. This is just from my understanding, because the way when I took the test, they said the symptoms were overlapping, is BPD and ADHD have overlying symptoms too.
Do they really? That's interesting, because I've been like just kind of falling down a lot of rabbit holes about BPD. I mean, just psychology and all different kinds of variants that go on in your mind is something that's really interesting to me, since I've been learning what's going on with me, and I've been learning a lot about BPD, and I don't know if it's like a lot of the stuff resonates with me, and so I'm just like, it's really interesting. I mean, I am not at all advocating for self-diagnoses. It's a terrible idea. If you think something's going on with you, you should just talk to a psychiatrist. Just talk to a psychiatrist. I say that like it's so easy. If you have access to, I strongly encourage it.
Yes.
Because the only people who can decide what should be treated and what shouldn't is yourself and your doctor. And it's just my opinion.
And you know what? I do have to find something that's going to work, because so far everything I have tried is not working. And dude, it impacts me in the bedroom, and it's so annoying, because 1 minute it could be like great sex, And the next minute, it's, did I feed my cat? Or did I reply to the work email? And it's like, get out of my...
I'm so sorry. Do you ever want to start a conversation about something totally unrelated during sex? I'll like suddenly like think of something and want to like be like, hey, so did you ever? And it's like, I'm literally getting railed right now. And I'd be like, hey, did you read this article? Because today, and I'm like, holy shit, Hannah, stop it. I have to stop myself because I'll almost do it. Not the sex is not bad. I don't want anyone to ever think that. Thomas, I don't want you to think that. It's never. But I just can't help it. My mind is, I am thinking about sex, but I'm also thinking about all these million other things. It's never one thing, ever.
And I can't tell you how many times I have had sex with someone and we start laughing because something comes out of my mouth and I'm just like, now's not the time to be funny, Ethan. Like, stop it.
Oh, I have to reference shit like all the time. Like if something reminds me, I'll be like, dude, like I can't think of an example. I'll just be like, office reference. And it's like, that's not, shut the fuck up. Like you could have just not said that. Like,
no, exactly. And the worst part is sometimes if you don't say it, you're just sitting there and then you start snickering to yourself as you're having sex. And you're like, damn it, stop laughing. This is creepy. Why am I laughing?
Yeah.
In sex?
And it's never like a joke at the other person's expense. I mean, maybe if I'm very comfortable with the person and I know that they can handle it and they know it's a joke, but I would never, but like,
no, never.
Yeah. But also like reference a meme. Like why? Like what's wrong with me? There's a point I was going to make and I forgot it. Shit. Go ahead.
The worst part about it is growing up with ADHD and having these problems. You are so often made to feel broken. Like for me, it is actually easier for me to be myself on camera and on stage than it is in person. Because in person, I was always like constantly saying like, you're weird, or why do you act like that? Men don't normally do those things, like constantly pounded in my head. But when I stepped on stage, all of a sudden, like my goofiness was accepted and like, oh dude, they liked it. So it's like, cool. But then once it's like, until I know somebody, it's like that shuts down, because when I want to be myself, I've got that thing pounded in my head that's like, don't act like that. You're different. You're weird. Remember, don't say these things. And it's constantly this like nagging indoctrination that I struggle with on an almost daily basis.
I think one of the most hurtful things that has stuck with me is someone very close to me, not anymore, said that I was performing all the time. Because like I am a performer. I love community theater. I love karaoke, whatever. But in my just conversations or when I'm around people, this person stopped me and was like, you don't have to be all performy all the time. And it hurt so bad because like I'm not trying to. I'm really not like thinking like, what can I say now that'll make people laugh? Like I can't help it. I will just say what comes to my mind. And hey, if you think I'm funny, good. Like, but I don't know. It really freaking hurt because it just like reminded me that I was like, you're a freaking weirdo. And I'm not trying to be. I'm not like, look, guys, look how interesting and like weird I am. Like, I cannot freaking help it. Not that I'm saying I think I'm interesting. Yeah, I think I'm interesting. Never mind. I'm just going to own that.
No, Hannah, you and I are both really fucking interesting people. But and I don't know if anyone can relate to this. We do have a caller. We'll get to that caller momentarily. But it, for me at least, can be a very isolating feeling when you do not feel like you can fit in any group or with any people. Like you're always standing out. And at times people think you're doing it intentionally. And it's like, as you said, like, no, I'm just being myself. But
this is how I am. Yeah.
And then, like, because I, am surrounded by a lot of people, not in person, but on social media, there's always this assumption, well, how could somebody like you be lonely? Like they make these assumptions about anybody in the entertainment industry. And it's like, no, it's actually a very isolating feeling. Like,
I often feel really misunderstood, and just, you know, for the sake of being on topic, like that has carried over into relationships where, like, I don't know, I've repressed myself with partners before because I just feel like they won't understand. I won't feel like seen and appreciated for the way I am. I'll just be like, they just think I'm weird, but like not in the way that I want. Like it's taken a lot for me to like love myself and love the way I am, and I do now. I really do. I try my best, and I think I have a lot to offer. And so I even still have these moments where I'll be like, you know, people don't actually like me for like the way I am. They just think I'm weird. You know, it happens.
Yes. Same.
You want to take the call?
Oh yeah, let's just get to this question though before I forget.
Oh, sure. Okay. There was a pause. I don't know.
Either of you ever have a million different things going on at the same time while you're unable to focus on any of them for more than a few minutes? I have to hop between activities. For me, absolutely. Like I was talking to a friend and he's like, well, just set reminders for everything. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. I'm like, this thing is always going off. If you tell me I have to write everything down, I will literally be on my phone all day writing things down because it's nonstop noise. It's just, ooh, squirrel, rabbit, this, that, this. It's like, oh my God. And you're like moving all over the place. But again, for some odd reason, the one thing I always focus on is my Atheist channel. Like that's like this one thing that's complete laser focus, that there is nothing that's going to get in my way.
It's not though. It's not laser focused because your presence, your what you're working on is all over the place. You have so many things going on at once. So I think you found like something you're really good at, because it does require being in a lot of places at once and juggling a lot of things. And I think that maybe that's how you thrive. Like that's the kind of work condition you need. Like it's not just you go through the motions and you have to do this, and then at this time you do this. You're like, oh, I thought of this, now I can do that. Now I thought of this, now I need to do that. And it's constantly moving for you. And I think that's I think you're thriving, dude.
I think so too. I really do love doing this. And there was one more comment I wanted to get to.
I answer that comment a little bit. So I will make a reminder for myself, and as I'm being reminded, it will remind me of something else also, and I will chase that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or I'll snooze it and be like, oh, or I'll clear the notification, or I'll snooze or whatever, and it's just a cycle. Like I've gotten a lot better at not entirely forgetting things that are really important, but things slip through the cracks, and it's really tricky. When I was working a desk job where it was very much like, these are your tasks and you need to consistently do them, I really struggled with that. And now I'm in an environment where I'm juggling a million different things, and for some reason that really works for me. I somehow don't screw up.
That's good.
I'm not perfect, but you know, I think I thrive a lot better in that one.
That was the one, toasted rye. Your brain starts yelling, shut up, over and over again. Yes, that happens to me all the time, especially in those, more intimate scenarios. It's like, dude, shut up, stop thinking about it. And then once you try and tell yourself to stop thinking about it, you're thinking about it more. And before you know, you're just like, yeah, okay, this is not going to work at all right now.
Yeah, I have to like stop and reset very often. Like during conversations, during sex, I'll like be super into whatever's going on. Then I'll be like, stop it. You need to focus now. Focus. You're thinking about focusing. What is focusing? Why can't you focus? How could you focus better? I should watch a YouTube video on how to focus better. And then I'm distracted again.
Yes. Like I can tell you this. I've been trying to read the Bible for like 5 years now. And it's just
reading is so hard.
Yes. It's like, and dude, in sixth grade, I had to take this test because I was behind in reading class, and they didn't really, know much about ADHD then, and didn't realize that I couldn't focus on what I was reading. So when I took this test, they had told me that my comprehension level was that of a third grader. So I was like, I felt so dumb. I felt so defeated. And that is like, from that moment, like, that's like, scarred in my head. Like I have been insecure about my intelligence since that moment, because other people read so easily and pick things up, and I'm just like, it's so overwhelming at times, and it's like I just want to fucking learn. So like I can do audiobooks, but I want to read.
I love reading. I feel so seen right now, and I think from what I've heard and read from people who go through what we're going through, feeling stupid or inferior or just incompetent is something that I think a lot of us struggle with. Like that is my biggest, I think, insecurity, is that I might be dumb. I used to walk home from school and think, I don't know, it was also the depression, but I would like go in these spirals of like, wow, you don't even have thoughts of your own. You're not even thinking about anything right now. You're just thinking about not thinking about anything. It was weird. I don't know if that's related to ADHD, but I think it stemmed from going to a public school and having standardized testing, and that's not good for neurodivergent people because we don't fit in the box. I've always felt like a square freaking peg, and it made me feel stupid. So I couldn't meet these standards that we were all expected to, because my brain doesn't work that way. I actually had a very, very high reading comprehension at a young age, but I was a very slow reader. I always finished my test last. I always finished reading last. But when I like scored, and when I had like these portions of like analyze this paragraph, like I would do very well. I'm like, okay, give me a bite size. Not that I'm incapable of comprehending big concepts, but isn't that it include more words? But yeah, it's just, dude, I'm not an idiot. I just have a lot going on in my brain.
Right. Like, dude, do you know how defeating it is when my like, I do excel at my job really well, my day job. Like, my boss has consistently told me like I'm the hardest worker he's ever seen, which makes me very happy. But, you know, at the same time, there's times he'll send me something. He'll be like, here, just do this, and here's an article on it. And I'm just like, I'm fucked. And it'll be this extremely like, not like a like step by step. It'll be this like overly complex thing, and I'm just like, I can't. And I'll read it over and over again, and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, I'm not getting it. And you feel so inferior, because to other people, it's like, why can't you just read and do this? And it's like, I'm fucking trying.
Well, it's not that I don't understand what I'm reading. It's that I can't focus on it. I cannot. The words, I'm like, yeah, I know what all of these words mean individually, but then you put them together and I'm just like, what? I'm thinking about other stuff. I can't do it. I'm really curious, Cooper Gates, did I commit a fallacy, or are you saying that did I reference one? I'm just curious if you could follow up in the comments. Because I don't like to do that. I like to know when I've done one, because I do it unintentionally. A lot of us do it unintentionally all the time. So
same.
Anyway, yeah. I like when I did.
Before we get
okay,
off track.
Yeah.
Okay, I can trust this caller too, so I don't have to screen them.
Oh, great.
Evan, you're on with Hannah and Ethan. What's going on?
Hello. Great talking to you both again. And just for the record, I think you're both very interesting people, and love the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah. I'm sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked in my brain as well.
That's okay. I'm sorry, I missed your name. Did you say it, Ethan, or did
Evan?
I'm sorry?
Kevin?
Kevin, okay. It cut out. All right. I'm sorry, Kevin. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure I know your name. Okay, go ahead.
No problem. I had called in before kind of about insecurity and stuff. And so on that note, to elaborate on that, maybe my story a little bit, I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was a kid. And I went through the mental health system, and I actually stopped taking my medication at 16. And I haven't used any type of pharmaceutical intervention since then. But as an adult, I'm not diagnosed. My son and my younger brother have both been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that affects me definitely in all my personal relationships, but especially intimate relationships, and it's more of like a problem with being able to initiate conversation with people and being able to communicate. Like, I don't know if I feel like I relate to a lot of what you both said. I don't know how the ADHD spectrum kind of differs from the autism spectrum there, but
You know, I wish we had Jenna Belk right now because she knows a lot about this specific area.
Yeah, we could have her.
Yeah.
No, I mean, everyone's experience is different, but it's kind of cool how we can relate on some things, you know, and it's nice to feel validated.
It is, because a lot of us suffer from these at times what feels like a very debilitating pain in the ass. And you know, yes, there are areas where I'm sure we may all be able to improve and try on better, but I would always encourage people to try and be patient and understanding, because our brains are not broken. We just work very differently than you do.
Yeah. Enough said, right? Yeah. I also think it's like, I don't know, really cool when people make an effort to research kind of what's going on with you when, you know, if you have a close person in your life who is, you know, on the spectrum, research that. If you are with someone with BPD, research that. I mean, I don't see any bad reason to figure out how to better navigate and communicate with your loved ones.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I try to do. As far as that goes, I just try to research on autism and mental illness generally. But and on the note of what you were saying about, I think maybe a similarity is like getting distracted during like intercourse. And for me, I found I kind of went down this rabbit hole with my partners of where it'd be like more and more extreme forms of intercourse and BDSM and things like that. And it seems like that's like something that keeps you focused, but at the same time, I don't know, it may be a spectrum of whether or not it's healthy or not.
I'm really glad you said that, because I hope this isn't, it's just, I don't want to make my partner uncomfortable about how much I share. But I started having like a role play scenario in my head with my partner. I didn't say it. Wasn't like acting it out, but I kind of like let my brain kind of like tell a story about what was going on. And that's the first time I had done that. I don't know if this makes sense, but I don't know that I'm actually starting to find the line where I get embarrassed to talk about sex. I don't know. I think it's because I haven't done a whole lot of role play, but I kind of like made up an erotica about like what we were doing when we were having sex recently, and it kept me really focused. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because I didn't really realize it, but that happened.
I'm going to totally try that. I'm going to I'll make up some, dude, my brain's always creating like some fantasy shit. So dude, I'll totally do that.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it was me and my partner. I wasn't like fantasizing about another person, but I was like, oh, okay. You know what? I have a show about sex and relationships. I'm just going to say it. I don't care if this is dorky, but I was getting it on, and I was like, oh, I've been rescued and I've been taken back to this mountain man's cabin, and now we're making love. And like, I was like, okay, it wasn't that dorky, but like in my mind, I was just like envisioning that that's what was like going on with my partner. And we weren't like full blown acting it out or anything. It just was what was going on in my mind. And I really was enjoying myself.
Okay, so the only thing I'm going to say is after this show, I recommend you and your boyfriend have a very candid conversation about what can and what can't be talked about.
We've talked about it. And as long as I'm not like incredibly specific and I don't know, I'm going to be respectful. I mean, but he's very sex positive. He doesn't really get embarrassed, but I'm not going to I don't want to air all my dirty laundry. You know, there's a line.
Kevin, real quick, someone in the audience had a comment towards you. Kind of reminds me of myself. The only time I usually speak with others is when they approach me first. I never want to initiate conversations with others because I always feel like an intruder.
Aww.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Or just finding the right icebreaker, you know, just it's a challenge for a lot of people with depression, anxiety, any of those types of any disorder that includes those types of symptoms. So yeah, that's why I called in. You know, it's just something I try to keep working on. You know, just improve every day.
That's exactly what we have to do. And Kevin, I appreciate you taking the time to call in and share your story.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Talk to you soon.
All right, have a good one.
I would say, I don't know if it's the ADHD that makes me more interested in sexually experimenting, or if that's just me as a person.
I don't know.
Although I've had a pretty vanilla life for the most part. That conservative,
it's never too late.
that conservative Christian in me, you know, that like.
But there is nothing wrong.
A man and a woman, and it's got to stay in the bedroom. That bullshit.
It can be anywhere as long as everyone is consenting.
Anyone, as long as they are of legal age and enthusiastically informed consent is involved.
Yes. What did you just say right before this? You said, because we were talking about last week was a mess. I'm just going to say that right now. I had fun, but I was thrown off and not on my game last week. But we were talking about sex positivity. We were at least trying to when I could stay focused, but I was very thrown off.
Anna, we are colorful people. Sorry, continue.
Right. But there's nothing wrong with vanilla if that's what you prefer and what works for you. Just don't limit yourself. If you feel, I don't know, am I making sense? Don't limit yourself. If it feels limiting, don't limit yourself. But if you're completely happy and content, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You can have no sex at all. And if that's what works for you, then go for it.
We're not going to sex shame here.
We're not sex shame either. Wait. Yes. Never mind.
No, we're not going to sex shame. Dude, okay. So one, earlier back when they asked like about our advice on like mental health and what conditions. So I suspect that my nephew has a very unfortunate similar ADHD to me. The way he acts, the way he's forgetful, the way you can just like be talking to him. And
it's not unfortunate.
But here's the thing. I'm not going to say anything to any doctor. I've like made some concerns to I pointed out to my brother, but otherwise, like I'm not a diagnostician and I don't want to put any type of limiting diagnosis on him because he could also be just a child and I could be trying to find like how we relate in my own way.
Yeah, I mean, you could just be seeing a lot of yourself in him. And I don't know this for a fact, but I guess I've heard somewhere that there may be an what am I trying to say? People are a little bit too eager to diagnose hyperactive children as ADD and ADHD. As someone who works with children, I noticed, I want to be very careful because I'm not a professional. I'm not a psychiatrist, but there's just the kind of struggle and journey I'm noticing a lot of very young kids go through on like having to try new medication. And it's just, it just concerns me. And my point is that I think it's something that should be taken with a lot of caution. Not that I'm like, oh, medication's going to screw you up, but it could if you're not careful. So it's something to just take seriously and not just throw around and go, oh, my kid needs to get out his energy, so I'm going to give him meds, you know?
Yeah, dude. And the last thing I want is him like having to take any type of medication that could limit his, you know, development or himself as a person.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not anti-medication. I mean, I'm very open about the fact that it's like in my chart, Hannah is married to her anti-anxiety medication. Like, don't ever touch it. I got weaned off a lot of other medications, but that one feels life-saving to me. My life is completely different and better with it. But, you know, I was very cautious and made sure I was educated and having a lot of conversations with my psychiatrist about why and what I was taking. So it's just every experience different, but
yeah,
it's something to be taken seriously.
And I would say the other thing like I wanted to touch on is earlier when you were talking about like playing with kids and like getting your energy out, like with I think that's what makes me good with kids is I like with my nephew, everything is a game. Like I was thinking about how when I first move in, he'd be like, you want to play this with this toy, this toy, this toy. Now it's just, hey, do you want to play blah, blah, blah game? Because I just make up so many games like with the most basic activities that the kid doesn't use toys around me anymore. And it's like, dude, that's kind of cool. Like that he doesn't need toys. He just needs me to throw him around and have a big imagination and make up the coolest shit.
And I love that. Yeah. You know, there's always a silver lining, even if we are suffering with a disorder in our brain, but at least we're really fun.
Yes. And, you know, the hardest part, circling back to like conversations, is I am in YouTube and I have to be so heavily focused on the conversations. And I am trying to get like as disciplined as possible. But there are times someone's talking and it's like the words are just boop, 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 like bouncing off, or the sentences are just going right over my head. And then I'm like, no, stop it, focus. And I'm like, ugh. And it's hard. It's like, how do we improve on this?
I have no idea. No. I stare at people's mouths when they talk. I don't know why. I don't know if I have some like auditory processing issues. Wait, is that a thing?
Yes, it's tied to ADHD as well. So
That's wild.
I have to have subtitles on the screen. Like
I have to.
Yes, it would drive potential partners nuts because to some that's distracting. Like they don't want the words on the screen. And I'm just like, it's easier for me to follow the conversation if I have the words on screen, which can also be like, have you ever caught yourself in a conversation, Hannah, and you'll hear what the person says, you'll say what, and then like a second later it processes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty common though, right? Yeah, you'll be like, what? And they start to say it and then you answer their question. They're like, why'd you say what? I'm like, because I had to think about what I heard noise and my brain was like, now you heard what they said. Now you know what they said. Cooper, I am very good at lip reading. I don't know. I guess I just learned how, because I stare at people's mouths when they talk. I have to kind of tell myself like, oh, look at their eyes. And it's something I've learned with practice, with like trying to be a charismatic person, and being not like trying to be, but like trying to be an active listener,
Right.
and not be like creepy and staring at their mouth when they talk. But when I'm really comfortable, I stare at people's mouths when they talk because it just helps me focus.
Now I don't think I stare at their mouths, but I do have to like, I don't know where I was going with that.
But no, I have to check myself in the middle of conversation and be like, you are not listening.
Yes.
But I'll be like nodding and staring at people and like doing this and realizing like I'm going through like weird like motions like to like show that I'm listening, and then I realize like, but I'm not. And it's not because it's not because I don't think what they have to say is important. I just have a lot on my mind. Like I like I could be in a very important conversation, a conversation that I do find interesting with someone I very much care about. And I'm just like, you said, I heard noise, even though I was staring in your eyeballs and nodding. And It's embarrassing.
It is, especially when they're like, "What'd you think?" And you're like,
Yep.
"Oh shit, I'm screwed." And then I'll just be like, what did you say? And it's embarrassing. It's like you're paying attention. Like, I'm trying. I'm really trying.
I love the circle I have right now. I was talking to a friend the other day, and they know a lot about how the way I work, and I'll just be like, "Can you repeat that? Because it didn't register." And they're like, "Sure," and then just repeat it, and I don't feel embarrassed. It's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you struggle when people whisper?
Do I struggle when people whisper?
Yes, for me, like whispering, I'll be like, "Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, what?" Like 10 times, and I know it's frustrating to people.
What is really hard for me is that people, because I just said I stare people's mouths. Now that everyone's wearing a freaking mask, I don't know what anyone's saying. One, they're muffled. Two, I can't look at their mouth to have that like confirmation. It's like having my own personal subtitles because I lip read. But it's I don't know. But whispering, I think almost like it makes me focus more because I'm like, what are they saying? Why are they whispering? You know?
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. I hate whispering.
I'll know not to whisper now.
Especially if we're in public. Like, if you're whispering and there's other noise around, I'm not going to hear anything.
If there's other noise around, I cannot focus on anything.
Yeah.
Like in loud rooms.
Get in the car with somebody and like they have like the music really loud and they're talking to you and you're just like, I can't process anything you're saying right now at all.
If I know the lyrics to a song that's in the background, I will not be able to focus on what I'm saying or the other person saying at all. I'll be like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait till the song's over. Not because I'm like, oh, I love this song. It's I know the words and I have to recite them along with it, or I will die. Like that's how it feels.
The best way to describe it.
I don't even like the song, but I have to. I will die if I don't. I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry. I'll be trying to tell a story, and I'll be like at a bar, and suddenly it's like, and I'm just like, sorry, I can't tell this story right now. Don't even like this fucking song, but I know the words, so oh well, it's gonna have to wait.
Yep. Oh, Hannah, this has been a really good and exciting and hopefully informative show where other people know they're not alone. Because I will say after this episode, Hannah, I feel way less alone.
I feel so seen right now. I want to leave off with this, though. I know we talk about mental health a lot, but I want to just make it abundantly clear that Ethan and I are not psychiatrists. We're not professionals. You know, if you resonate with things that we said, that does not mean you have ADHD. It might, but the only person who can, you have to get an official diagnosis. Did you say you do?
No. I was saying like good. Like I'm glad
you're saying you do. Apparently, I'm terrible at reading lips. No, but you know, the purpose of the show is to just share our experiences, hear some other people's experiences. You know, if you learn something that's cool, we don't expect you to because we're not professionals. We hope you're at least entertained and you feel a little less alone, because we're here to just bare our souls to you.
Well, and you know what the worst part is? The second we end this episode, I'm going to think of 10 more things I should have said.
That's what bothers me so much. I always be like, why didn't I talk about that?
Yeah. And it's literally, I'm sitting here knowing there's something else right now because I know the second I click that end button, it's going to be bam right in my head. And I'll be like,
happens to me every week. But if you want to hear more of my weird thoughts that pop into my head, I have a Twitter. It's Hannah Von Fancy.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
What? LOL, but you can't cram everything in.
Real quick, I do want to thank the top tier patrons. Gee, well, come up. Where's it going? There we go. Come on. All right, thank you. Jonathon, Friedel, City PLAZA, Kenneth, Leonard, Kathy Letto, JumpandShoot, Ian, Oz, Philip Leitch. All of you are awesome. And thank you to the rest of the patrons. Also, have you answered the message you mentioned at the beginning?
Oh, I forgot to. Thank you to the mods and everyone for tuning in tonight. We're not quite done because we have some things we got to pitch, some really exciting stuff that's coming up. So,
Yeah. So February.
do you want me to remind you what we were talking about?
I actually don't remember, but February 4th is the fundraiser for Recovering from Religion. It's the year anniversary of my channel. We have over 30 different YouTubers involved. It'll be hosted by Hannah Vaughn, Jenna Belk, Brainbug, Kenneth Leonard, and myself. And we've got guests like Genetically Modified Skeptic, Aaron Ross, Seth Andrews, Holy Kool-Aid, Vila Bianca, Vice Rhino. Like, we got a whole bunch of people, and it's going to be awesome. Eric Murphy,
My baby.
yes. And we're going to be streaming to so many different pages and platforms, and it's going to be an absolute blast.
It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited for it. And it's for a good cause. So come on down.
No, we need a tagline. Although I like Hannah's. I have to say this right now or I will die.
It's how it feels. No, we'll figure out a tagline. We're still new. Give us time.
Hey, if you know how to get in touch with her, please be my guest.
Jacqueline Glenn.
Anyways, yeah, no tagline yet. We could use a tagline. Oh, what was the thing we were talking about in the beginning of the show?
At the beginning of the show, you had to answer a message.
Yeah, what's the message?
I don't know. Oh, you're wondering like what I'm referring to?
Yeah, what am I supposed to be answering?
There was a message you're supposed to respond to. I don't know. You didn't go into depth with me. I think it's unrelated entirely to what this has to do with, but that's the nature of this beast.
Well, crap. I don't remember.
No, it wasn't a message for the show. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. So we can end the show.
Yeah.
You're not waiting for me to say something.
No, they're just reminding you because at the beginning of the show, you said, oh, I know what I was going to do right before I started the stream. There was a message I was supposed to respond to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about.
And before Ethan forgets to do it, we're going to end the stream and he's going to do it right now.
I'm pulling up the phone and opening this up so I can. There we go. It's ready to go.
Let's let these people go to bed. I love you all so much.
Yep. Good night, everyone. Thanks
Good night. See you next week.
Crap. Hang on. I can't find that. Here we go. Good night.